My first ever wholesale real estate deal made me $20,000 in profit at the age of 17. And then since then, I've went on to close over 100 assignments in 15 states and collect over $1 million in assignment fees by the age of 19. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Dylan. I've obviously been wholesaling for the last couple of years. I started out in my junior year of high school, dropped out of high school, and then continued to scale up the business until I got to about 10 to 15 deals a month. And right now, my current plan is to start buying and holding investment property to obviously set myself up for my future and also continue to do cash assignments. And I've basically mastered like the sales process and systemization of wholesale real estate. So in this video, I'm going to be going over exactly how to source these properties, how to get these properties under contract with the seller, and also fully break down the title and attorney process in the timeline of a closed deal. A lot of people on YouTube just skim through it. They teach you like, the utmost basics. I'm going to walk you through exactly how a deal actually closes so you know exactly how to explain it to the seller and you know what to do once you actually get your first property locked up. So if you guys are a beginner looking to close your first deal, an intermediate looking to streamline transactional coordination work, or an advanced wholesaler looking to see what my process is at scale, then this is the video for you. I highly recommend you watch till the end and take notes, leave comments, ask questions, and stay engaged. So without further ado, let's just get started. Number one, how to actually source good deals. There are multiple things that go into effectively sourcing good wholesale deals. These things are as follows: underwriting, marketing channels, and sales process. I have videos breaking down every single one of these topics in depth. So obviously I'm not going to run through these, like I said, in depth, but I'm going to run through the basics so you guys understand how this plays into actually doing a solid transaction. So underwriting, this is a skill you can never stop improving on. Repetition and practice is key here. I always tell people the back end of your wholesale deal will always be hard if you suck at underwriting, right? Because you're not going to be able to find buyers. You're going to always have to negotiate price drops. You're going to have to, reestimate repair costs. And if you don't do these things right off the bat and you don't get good at underwriting, then you are simply going to struggle when it comes to actually selling these deals and getting them locked up, and then also getting them assigned and getting them to the closing table. Next is marketing. Marketing is obviously very heavily dependent on your budget and your goals. You're going to have to spend a little bit more money if you want to make $50K a month than if you wanted to make $10K a month. But here are a few markers to shoot for that will guide you in the right direction. Just think better quality and less labor is going to be more expensive to optimally run. By optimally run, I don't mean like more cost per deal, right? You don't spend more on, per deal on Google than Meta, but you have to spend more on Google like on a consistent basis in order to get the campaign running to that level where you want it to be at with consistent deal flow. And what I mean by this is, let's say you have a Google campaign fully set up. You set up your website, set up your landing page, have the keywords, everything in place, and you launch that campaign. That campaign will perform drastically different at 3K a month than 10K a month. Right? And I know this from personal experience. I started out my Google campaign and I was only spending 5K a month, not seeing much traction, not seeing much progress. There were days where I didn't even get leads. And then I literally just ramped up my spend, didn't change a single thing to my campaign, started absolutely printing with Google, getting a 2K cost per deal and getting a over 7 times ROAS. So the campaign heavily depends on how much you spend. With SMS, I recommend you budget around $800 to $2,000 a month to get started. With Meta, I think you should budget at least 5 to 7.5K a month. And then with Google, I recommend you spend 10K plus a month like I am spending. And that is going to be the most optimal way to get the lowest cost per deal depending on what type of marketing you're on. And finally, sales process. I can't stress this enough. You need trust and rapport with the seller to get a deal done. Take your time on your sales calls, take time to build relationships with sellers, and this will make the back end work so much easier because you're going to have to schedule walkthroughs. You're going to have to do title work. You're going to have to do price drops. You're going to have to do extensions. Like, these things are basically guaranteed. If you're wholesaling for a long period of time, you're going to run into situations like this. And if you ever have to negotiate these like little small things with sellers, you need a good basis of rapport, or else they're just going to shut it down. They're going to think you're wasting your time. They're going to think you're just like every other wholesaler and you're grimy. But if these people are ride or die for you and they truly believe you're a professional and you can actually get the deal done and you have their best interest in mind, not just your own, they will make things work. Trust me, they will pull strings for you. They will do price drops. They will sign extensions, and they will be in contact with the title. And I know this for a fact because in the beginning, right, when I was starting out, when I was doing, a deal a month, right, I had a lot of deals fall through simply because sellers were not cooperative, right? They would, I would try and go for a price drop and they would shut it down immediately. I would try and go for an extension. They would shut it down immediately, start ghosting me, stop getting in contact with the title. And slowly over time, I was trying to think like, what can I do to actually fix this? There has to be a fix. And there is a fix. It's getting better on the phone. The getting better on the phone aspect of the business is so incredibly important. And I train my sales team. Right now, obviously, I'm not on the phone anymore, but I go get on weekly calls with my acquisitions reps and stress the importance of how they need to build rapport and trust. They've heard it probably a million times. Their call recordings sound great, right? These guys are killers. They know what to do on the call. They build great trust and rapport, but I'm still drilling it into their mind every single call. You need to build more trust. You need to build more rapport. You need to get these people to love you, and you need to be personable with them. And they will actually sell to you, and they will make the process so much easier. If you do not build a good basis of trust and rapport before getting into the back end of the business, you will struggle. You will struggle immensely. I'm not saying deals won't get done. Deals will 100% get done. I closed deals and I sucked on the phone. But if you want to scale this business up, if you want to have the most optimal cost per deal, if you want to run this business at scale and make a lot of money, you need to build a lot of trust and rapport. Number two, how to actually get under contract with the seller. I have a video breaking down my contract and the contract I use. If you want, you could scroll down on my YouTube channel and watch that video. But in the description, I'll also link my free contracts. Download and upload those to either PandaDoc or DocuSign. And I highly recommend you have an LLC for this step. It's not necessary. I personally didn't have an LLC when I started. I was 17 years old and I had my buddy sign off on my deal for me. But for tax reasons, for accounting reasons, for write-offs, highly recommend you have an LLC. It also separates your liability from your personal name and the business, and that's obviously, good. LLCs are fairly cheap. Go to busy.com, file an LLC. State filing fee is at most a couple $100, and then you'll get that done. You'll never have to deal with it ever again, and you'll have an LLC that separates your liability from the business. I recommend you do this, but in the case that you don't want to or you're under the age of 18, you don't necessarily need it. Also, can't stress this enough. Like I said, rapport is king here. A seller that doesn't trust you is going to be a lot more reluctant to sign no matter how well you explain the contract. That is why I stress the importance of acquisition so heavily, because it's going to solve the majority of back-end issues in your sales process. If you struggle with, you're sending out contracts to sellers and they're not responding to you, or they're ghosting you on your live signing calls, or they're accepting your offers but they're just not signing contracts, that's a sales issue. That's not any other issue, right? You're not explaining yourself well. They're not trusting you enough. They're not motivated enough. You're not breaking down the sales call enough, and you need to work on your acquisition skills if you're having issues like this. And then number three, which is obviously the bread and butter of the video, what I actually want to spend some time going over. The other two steps are fairly simple, but I want to go through exactly how a transaction actually closes, right? So day one, right? Contract is locked up. From there, you're going to build out a deal sheet. Basically what a deal sheet is it a marketing sheet for buyers. Think about it like this. You put a picture of the property, you put the address, you put the price, condition, important dates, all of that, so the buyer knows exactly what they're buying, right? And have this all prepared, make it look all good. I personally just use chat to make me a little framework on it, and just put it on a doc, send it out to the serious buyers. And the title, and then from there, you need to set the seller's expectations, right? So let them know that title will be open during your inspection period. Walkthroughs will need to be scheduled, pictures if possible, etc. You need to make sure the seller knows exactly what's going to go on moving forward, and you need to stay up to date with them, right? Don't ghost your sellers once you get them locked up. Call them every 3 to 4 days, even if you don't have an update, like, hey, we're working on getting someone out there. Hey, we're working on the title. Hey, we're doing this, we're doing that on the back end, we're shopping for material, whatever the case may be, right? Just let them know something is going on so that they know you're still engaged, or else you're going to deal with them ghosting you. Days 2 through 14, which is your inspection period, this is going to be once you start marketing your deal. So once a buyer is found, you get them their walkthrough scheduled, tell them to act as a contractor or a partner, and then also set the buyer's expectations, right? So EMD is non-refundable, deadlines are mandatory, no wasting time, typical cash sale. You need to realize that you have the leverage in this situation. If a buyer ever tries to play around with you, not deposit their EMD on time, try and price drop you after they already signed the contract, anything like that, don't let them do it, right? You have the leverage as the wholesaler. Stay firm on your terms and they will abide by that. Trust me. If a buyer ever tried doing anything like that nowadays, I just let them know, like, hey man, complete, all due respect, I could find another buyer for this deal. If you don't want to match my terms, then you can go ahead and just back out, and I'll just keep your EMD. And that's exactly what I say every single time whenever a buyer tries to play games. And trust me, they won't play games. They'll start treating you with more respect, and you won't have any issues with your buyers anymore. Days 7 through 16, I recommend opening title once the deal is signed, which is why I put 7 to 16, as deals are typically assigned within a week. You open the title company, or you open the title by contacting either a local title company or a closing attorney, and then you email them the PSA, assignment, and any other addendums and request a title search. I keep this very simple, right? On the email line, subject line, I put new order dash property address, hello, comma, attached is the following PSA, assignment, addendums. Please send EMD wiring instructions to buyer. Thank you, Dylan. That's it, right? Don't pour them an essay, explain to them that's an assignment. Don't do any of that. Just literally just send them all those details. They'll know what you're talking about. When you go to work with a title company, obviously make sure they're familiar with assignments. 99% of title companies nowadays are familiar with assignments, but if they're not, they're probably prehistoric and you don't want to be working with them anyway. So just choose a different title company to work with. You could use a national title company. You could use a local title company, local attorney. Doesn't really matter. And then days 16 through 30, once a title search is ordered, the title company will also work alongside the buyer's lender to get approvals and funding squared away. This process usually takes 7 to 14 days, which falls perfectly into our 30-day close. This can happen sooner or later, depending on if the property passes title search clean or if they have other people on the title, liens, back taxes, etc. Once lending is actually approved, title will send the clear to close, closing date will be set, and you will receive your wire. That is it. It's a very simple process. Title companies handle most of the work for you. If there's any additional paperwork the seller needs to sign or the buyer needs to sign, they will send that out. They will get that squared away for you. You don't need to really worry about it. All you need to worry about is staying constantly in communication with the buyer and the seller during this process, making sure everyone is abiding by their timelines, making sure everyone is being communicative with the title company, and you will be just fine. One tip that I want to give here is if anything ever comes up in the title search, liens, back taxes, other people found on title, this can extend the closing, right? So you need to make sure the seller knows this and make sure they know that it is technically on them, right? Because if you frame it like, sorry, this happened, but, this was found on title and we're going to need to delay closing. That's framing it like most of the sellers aren't going to know what that even means, right? So you need to explain to them like, hey, we ran the title search and unfortunately you have liens. You have other people that need to sign off. You have back taxes, and we need to get that squared away before we can close. And that's kind of on you. I'll explain to you how my company best, handles this type of situation. But I'm just letting you know that this is delaying the closing. We can't really do much about it until we can get title insurance placed. And to get title insurance placed, we actually obviously need to clear the title. With liens, back taxes, and other people on the title company will handle it. You don't need to really do much as another wholesaler. There's very specific instances where you can step in and you can kind of help out, but most of the time, title company attorney will be able to get these cleared off for you. Other people is the hardest. Like let's say they have a distant relative that needs to sign off. You're going to need to communicate with the seller, let them know that the relative needs to sign off. Obviously, have the seller get in contact with them, get them in contact with the title company. It's a whole mess, and that's why I really recommend having a good mentor in your corner, because in very specific instances when stuff like that happens, you need someone with expertise to be able to guide you through that process. If you don't have someone in your corner to help you through the process, especially as a beginner or someone that just hasn't really experienced that at all, you're going to struggle. Deal's going to fall apart. Trust me, I would have probably made over $100,000 if I got a mentor sooner than I did. I think that's probably one of the biggest mistakes I ever made in my wholesale career. It wasn't hiring a good mentor. Not even for the aspect of like I needed them to teach me everything. I just needed someone in my corner that had more experience than me, just so I can ask them questions when I needed them to. And trust me, it's worth it. It's a write-off. It's good for your business. You need to invest in your knowledge. Funny enough, I literally just spent $50,000. I just sent a wire 3 weeks ago for a mentor to teach me how to start scaling up the novation side of my business. He has a very specific method that he uses on novations, and he runs a business that's doing multiple millions of dollars a month. Paid him 50 grand, had a consulting call with him, and now I'm obviously going to start ripping novations. Already have a couple listed. Crazy strategy. I can't stress this enough. Investing into yourself will always pay off as long as you invest into the right people. Don't pay some random guy who's just flexing a Lambo on the internet. Make sure they actually know what they're talking about. Obviously, make sure that they actually have money, right? That's the number one thing, right? If someone posts their lifestyle and they're still living in their mom's house, don't pay them for a mentorship. But if someone is, living a good life, they obviously have money, they're successful, and then you watch more into their content, they actually know what they're talking about. They know what the process looks like. They show proof, they show HUDs, they show bank statements, they show wires, then you should be fine. pay them, and it'll be the best investment you've ever made in your entire life. Like I said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap the video up here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any questions at all, leave them in the comment section down below. I always answer. I'm always here to help, and I want to make sure you guys understand this business. That way you guys can get printing money with wholesale real estate, because coming into the summer now, we have the greatest opportunity ever, right? Every single summer, I make so much money wholesaling real estate. Every single summer is better than the last. And it's because transactional volume in real estate just goes up so significantly during the summertime, because people are actually willing to move. People are looking to make big decisions in their life during the summertime, because that's when everyone's kind of chilled out. And that, as always, if you guys want to join the inner circle, where me and Hunter will personally train you on your sales process, make sure you're caught up to speed on your acquisitions, and then from there implement marketing for you, so you don't have to do any guesswork when it comes to the marketing. You literally just plug and play and get leads straight to you. And also we'll help you out with the dispositions, we'll connect you with your buyers, and we'll mentor you throughout the entire process. We guarantee that you close a deal within 90 days. If you guys are interested in that at all, the first link in the description, you'll be able to apply for that to work with us. We are limiting our spots now. We're only taking on like 10 to 15 new students every single month, simply because our time is limited, right? And it takes me time to set up these systems. It takes me time to hop on one-to-one calls. It takes me time to hop on group calls, and I only have so much time, right? So limiting the spots at 10 to 15. If you guys want to get into it, those spots are filling up pretty quick, so I'd recommend you get into that as soon as possible. But other than that, leave a like, leave a sub, and I'll see you guys in the next video.